Good afternoon, and welcome to AmeriCorps VISTA's Request for Concept Papers webinar. We're pleased to have this opportunity to present information about the VISTA program, the Request for Concept Papers, and our application process. This webinar is being recorded in April 2020 as the country is responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. VISTA headquarters is currently updating our programming and policies and continues to support organizations that are working with their communities on anti-poverty and, in some instances, COVID-19 related efforts. The VISTA program will continue developing new anti-poverty projects throughout this time. My name is Melissa McNeely, and I'm the Program Impact Specialist with VISTA's Program Impact and Operations Unit, and I'm joined by my colleague, Kelly Daly. We will be your host today from the VISTA headquarters in Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon, I'm Kelly. Thank you for joining us on this call to learn more about AmeriCorps VISTA. I'll hand it back to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Kelly. We're excited to have you all on the call today to learn more about the AmeriCorps VISTA program. Here's a quick glance of what we'll cover during the presentation. We'll provide a brief overview of CNCS and our various programs so that you understand the breadth of our work and how it all may align with your organization. The VISTA program may seem complex at first, so we'll explain our core principles and the things that differentiate us from other CNCS programs. VISTA sponsors have the important responsibility of managing the project and members, so we'll provide details of what this would look like for your organization. We'll also explain the two-part application process and highlight critical information to help you develop a good concept paper. And lastly, we'll provide you with necessary information so that you'll know who to contact and where to find answers to questions you may have about the VISTA application process. We both have the privilege of working for the Corporation for National and Community Service, or CNCS, the federal agency for service and volunteering. Through CNCS programs, we engage millions of Americans in results-driven service to solve problems, expand opportunity, and strengthen communities. We do this by providing resources to thousands of organizations each year. Many of our partners are national organizations that you've probably heard of, like the American Red Cross, the United Way, City Year, and Teach for America. We also partner with public agencies throughout the nonprofit sector, including lesser-known faith-based and community organizations, and serve in more than 50,000 locations across the country. CNCS is focused on meeting pressing national and local needs, from combating the opioid crisis and helping students make progress in school to responding to disasters and supporting veterans and military families. We primarily address these needs through our two broad programs called AmeriCorps and Senior Corps. These programs share a common element of establishing public-private partnerships. Last year, CNCS not only provided resources to a network of community partners, but those partners leveraged $1.2 billion in outside resources, more than CNCS's entire federal appropriation, to increase community impact and expand resources for all citizens. Both programs play a vital role in helping communities design and implement results-driven, cost-effective solutions. Senior Corps connects seniors 55 years and over with people and organizations in the community that need them most. It encompasses 3 different programs to help people serve in their communities as companions, grandparents, and volunteers. A brief description of those programs are on the screen. The AmeriCorps programs engage more than 80,000 Americans in intensive service each year at nonprofits, schools, public agencies, and community and faith-based groups across the country. They do things such as teaching and tutoring students, providing STEM and financial literacy education, and mobilizing millions of volunteers to multiply their impact. For many, AmeriCorps is a pathway to education and employment. Similar to an apprenticeship, AmeriCorps members earn while they learn and gain valuable career skills and experience to prepare them for work, or in the case of folks changing careers, to help them transition to a new line of work. There are 3 programs under the AmeriCorps umbrella: AmeriCorps State and National, AmeriCorps NCCC, and AmeriCorps VISTA. The focus today will be on AmeriCorps VISTA, are anti-poverty programs dedicated to building the capacity of organizations and empowering communities to create sustainable solutions. Volunteers in Service to America, or VISTA, the main topic for today's webinar, falls under the AmeriCorps umbrella. The Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973, or DVSA, is the federal statute that guides the VISTA program. The VISTA program has 4 core principles that guide our work and the work that sponsors and members accomplish in their communities. The first principle is fighting poverty. A VISTA project's goal is to address poverty-related issues that individuals and communities are experiencing. VISTA strives to empower communities. We want to engage residents of low-income communities in the planning, the development, and implementation and evaluation of VISTA projects. VISTA focuses on capacity building as well. By that, we mean that the goal of VISTA projects and members are to strengthen, expand, and increase the reach of anti-poverty organizations and programs in coordination with the staff and volunteers. Lastly, we try to create sustainable solutions. We want the capacity developed through the VISTA project to continue, even after the VISTA resources are gone. So during their service, VISTA members develop systems, relationships, and knowledge which they transfer to the organization and the community to sustain over the long term. Before we go further, let's review some key definitions and terms that speakers will use during the call today. This will help you understand our structure a little better. The VISTA project or project means a set of VISTA activities operated and overseen by a sponsor. Project sponsor, VISTA sponsor, or VISTA project sponsor means a public agency or private nonprofit organization that receives assistance under the DVSA and is responsible for operating and overseeing a VISTA project. A public agency may be a federal, state, local, or tribal government. Sponsor does not mean that you are paying to host a VISTA at your site. Project director or VISTA project director means a staff person of legal age of the sponsor who has been assigned by the sponsor the overall responsibility for the management of the VISTA project. Directors are responsible for executing all aspects of the project as outlined by the sponsor. A supervisor is an individual who directly supervises a VISTA member. This can be at the project level or at a site and subrecipient level. Project sponsors are responsible for ensuring that all member supervisors are trained. It's important to note that some project directors are also supervisors. CNCS has field staff working throughout the United States. These staff will help develop, support, facilitate VISTA projects throughout their life cycle and are a valuable resource when applying to become a VISTA sponsor. One main difference between the VISTA program and other CNCS programs is that VISTA is the only national service program that focuses on capacity building of anti-poverty programs. Through VISTA, we aim to help organizations expand the scale, reach, efficiency, or effectiveness of these programs. An example of capacity building versus direct service would be a VISTA member creating volunteer applications and position descriptions, recruiting and placing volunteers for a tutoring program, and designing a system to effectively recruit and utilize members. The goal of a project like this would be for the volunteer management system to remain in place and sustained by the sponsor agency after the VISTA completes service. By contrast, AmeriCorps members in programs other than VISTA may provide direct service. In a tutoring program example, where the VISTA member is creating a volunteer management system, AmeriCorps members in other programs would provide tutoring directly to the students and possibly keep the system updated as new volunteers are recruited. A VISTA's capacity building efforts should be geared towards strengthening a project to address poverty over the long term. While the focus of a VISTA member's assignment is capacity building, they may perform adjunct direct service tasks in support of their VISTA assignment. In addition, as we work through the COVID-19 pandemic, we understand that some sponsors may adjust some of the members' activities to focus on limited direct service to work on the related coronavirus activities. The AmeriCorps VISTA program has been impacting individuals and communities since 1965. Each year, the program engages over 8,500 members in 4,500 different sites. Through the VISTA members, sponsoring organizations and communities receive over $206 million in cash and in-kind resources to support the VISTA projects and corresponding events. The VISTA members serve closely with volunteers at some sites and are instrumental in training them and developing processes to build capacity and sustainability. Now that we've provided a basic overview of CNCS and the VISTA program, I'm sure that you want to learn about VISTA members. If you're selected as a sponsor, your most important resource will be the VISTA members, and knowing about member eligibility, appropriate activities, and program benefits will help you to recruit and manage members better. VISTA service is a 12-month full-time commitment whereby the members build capacity and sustainability of poverty alleviation programs. In order to be eligible for VISTA service, an individual must be at least 18 years old and a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident. This person must pass a criminal history check, and they may need to have particular skills or knowledge that the sponsor requires to fulfill the role. Lastly, a VISTA may be from the local community or a national recruit. So I've gone through some basic eligibility, and you might be wondering what type of individual is cut out to be a VISTA member. The typical image of an AmeriCorps VISTA member is a highly skilled recent college graduate. A significant percentage of members are baby boomers as well, and they bring a wide array of professional and life experiences to their VISTA assignments. Some VISTA members are also members of the low-income community your project aims to serve. We love the diversity of our members because their life perspectives and experiences provide a unique lens from which they view the world and tackle issues at the community level. These members pursue their assignments for a variety of reasons, ranging from wanting to make a difference and eliminating poverty to learning new career skills and networking. There are a few other things that you should keep in mind as you develop your project and if you become a sponsor and begin recruiting VISTA members. First, and one of the most important things to understand is that VISTAs are members of our program. They are not employees, interns, or volunteers of or with the sponsoring organization, and you should not refer to them in any of those ways. Refer to them as members. VISTAs serve at their sponsoring agency and do not work or volunteer there. And lastly, they receive a modest living allowance that aligns with the communities that they serve. Now that we've gone over VISTA members, let's move on to VISTA leaders and their roles in a program. VISTA leaders are also an important part of a project, and they do amazing work throughout the country. To be eligible to serve as a leader, an individual must have already served as an AmeriCorps member for at least a year or completed Peace Corps service. Both of these experiences will have equipped them with the skills needed to support VISTA members. The leaders help to recruit, mentor, train, coordinate report writing, and generally support teams of at least 8 VISTAs. They can guide data collection and interpret data, but not complete the reporting activities for the sponsoring organization. While they cannot supervise members, leaders can coordinate, facilitate, and support the efforts of VISTAs in their communities. Now that you know the difference between a VISTA member and VISTA leader, let's take a look at what members actually do when serving in their communities. So what do they do? VISTAs provide capacity building to organizations and projects and work to empower communities and help lift them out of poverty. This is done in many different ways, based on the sponsor organization, the assignment, the community's needs, and their own creativity. The members' outcomes and impact in the communities they serve is invaluable. Members play a significant role in building and maintaining partnerships and collaborating with organizations and stakeholders throughout the project's entirety or for special events. They create programs, systems, and training, and also participate in various aspects of resource development. As you can imagine, VISTA members and leaders participate in a wide array of activities within an organization and their communities. There are countless opportunities for them to work in tandem with community members to make an impact. While there are a myriad of unique projects and activities that are appropriate for VISTA members, there are definitely some activities that are prohibited. So let's take a look at those on the next slide. There are a number of things that VISTA members cannot do per the DVSA that created VISTA. Prior to service, VISTA members must complete the online terms and conditions course that details what's provided to members and what is allowed during VISTA service. If a member violates one of the terms or conditions, the supervisor must inform their CNCS field staff contact immediately. The violations have different consequences, and for the protection of the project and any other members on board, it's critical to act promptly. The VISTA program is focused solely on serving American communities, and members cannot work on any international projects. Additionally, engaging in religious instruction, conducting worship services, and engaging in any form of proselytizing during service hours is prohibited. There are also some prohibited political activities to be aware of. A VISTA cannot engage in partisan political activities while in service, such as fundraising for a partisan political campaign at any time, or identifying oneself as a VISTA while engaging in partisan political activities. Along those same lines, VISTAs cannot be involved in voter registration as part of their VISTA service. In general, VISTAs cannot engage in or support political activity, religious activity, lobbying, or union organizing as part of their service or while perceived to be serving as a VISTA. Now let's move on to the topic of supplanting staff. Members shall not perform duties that should be done or are typically done by paid staff, contractors, or existing volunteers. The role of VISTAs is building capacity to bring communities out of poverty. So now that I've covered some of the accepted and prohibited activities of VISTA service, let's review some of the member benefits. If you become a VISTA sponsor, you'll want to know all of the benefits available to VISTA members so that you can inform candidates during the recruitment process and support members during their service term. Members will receive benefits which range from a living allowance, non-competitive hiring eligibility for federal jobs, and an end of service award, and there are many others that are not listed on the slide, such as the Student Loan Forbearance Award. Another benefit to highlight with prospective members is that AmeriCorps VISTA service time counts towards federal retirement. You can find more information about VISTA member benefits on the VISTA webpage. Now I'll hand it over to my colleague, Kelly, to talk about the sponsor organization.
Hi, I'd like to focus the conversation now on sponsor organizations and their responsibilities to help you begin thinking about whether the VISTA program aligns with your anti-poverty work. If you're selected as a sponsor, you will join VISTA sponsors from across the nation that are fighting poverty in their respective communities. The VISTA project director or supervisor at your organization will supervise the VISTA members, and you will be responsible for ensuring that your project is in compliance with all the VISTA policies and procedures. The VISTA program has two different program model types, which are single site and the intermediary model. The first and most basic program model type is a single site sponsor. This refers to one agency hosting a VISTA project at one site. In this VISTA program model, the VISTA supervisor and members are in the same location. In the intermediary model, a VISTA sponsoring organization helps provide CNCS resources to other eligible organizations that are oftentimes small and may not have the capacity to access such federal resources on their own. The intermediary is an organization that has the capacity to develop and support VISTA sites across a wide geographic area or among a group of organizations that address a common need. They provide administrative services, technical support, training, and oversight to the subsites. The way that an intermediary model works is that the organization can partner with other organizations to place VISTA members, or the intermediary organization may place VISTAs at their own chapter or affiliate sites. In this model, you might be the main point of contact for members and site supervisors. The sponsor should undertake different responsibilities to help make the VISTA experience positive and meaningful for all of its members. As a sponsor, you will be tasked with numerous responsibilities. First, you'll draft compelling and eye-catching opportunity listings to announce your VISTA position and attract highly qualified candidates. In addition, you'll recruit, screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for service. Recruitment and placement of VISTA members takes place on the CNCS web-based VISTA platform called the VISTA Portal or My AmeriCorps. To help you with your recruitment and outreach, VISTA has developed social media graphics, messages, and other promotional items that you may use throughout this process. Those materials are found on our National Service website. You'll provide administrative resources and other project support needed to successfully conduct the project activities. This includes the space, supplies, and equipment necessary to carry out the VISTA members' service. If members will serve remotely, you must ensure they have the resources to do so successfully. You'll also have to provide reasonable accommodation to members who request them based on different abilities. Successful sponsors also provide an in-depth on-site orientation and training to all incoming VISTA members at the beginning of their year-long service. A sponsor should conduct ongoing trainings and professional development opportunities throughout the member's service year, both individually and with VISTA. It is critical to engage members during service since it has been shown to result in members that are more committed to the project and the community. And it's probably no surprise that the best projects offer day-to-day supervision and support of their members. Sponsors are responsible for introducing and orienting the VISTA into the community, ensuring that their activities are in line with the approved VISTA assignment descriptions, and meeting with the VISTA regularly to discuss expectations, goals, and review project progress. And just to be clear, a standard VISTA project does not require sponsors to pay the living allowance. The sponsor does not incur any type of payment. Effective project management is an essential part of a successful VISTA project and member experience. There are numerous phases and activities related to planning, implementing, and executing a VISTA project. Today, I'd like to touch on three main aspects that sponsoring organizations should focus on. First, be sure to develop your proposed project with community members. Leaders and members of the low-income community understand their community's needs and wishes and bring a key perspective into the planning, implementation, and evaluation of your activities. The community's guidance, support, and buy-in are critical to the project's success as well as the VISTA's individual success. If your concept paper is accepted and you're invited to submit a full application, you can develop the performance measures with CNCS field staff. That staff is there to help you refine your ideas, ensure that the community's and VISTA's needs are being met. The performance measures inform the reporting you will complete, and the information you'll provide in these reports demonstrate your project's impact and resource management. It also allows us to provide you with better technical assistance for program improvement. There are several reports that will help you manage your project and inform VISTA headquarters about the project's successes and needed improvements. Examples of these include the project progress reports and the VISTA progress report supplement, which is an annual report. During the next part of the webinar, I'll focus the discussion on the VISTA application process and the steps that your organization needs to take to become a VISTA sponsor. CNCS provides the guidance and instructions needed to develop your concept paper. And in a later slide, I'll go over creating the account in eGrants and submitting a concept paper. Once you are prepared, you'll develop the concept paper by answering some basic narrative questions about your organization and respond to 4 open-ended questions in eGrants. AmeriCorps VISTA seeks project applications for programming in any of the CNCS focus areas shown on the slide. Priority consideration will be given to project applications that fall under the specific priorities included under the following slide. We have numerous programming priorities within each of the focus areas that you find in our legislation. These priorities are established annually based on administration guidance, staff input, sector research, and a review of the existing portfolio of AmeriCorps VISTA projects nationwide. VISTA encourages sponsors to implement projects that provide opportunities to low-income individuals to get workforce training, education, and skills that will meet the needs of employers. We're also interested in improving access to computers and the internet, as well as access to safe and affordable housing. We are currently seeking projects that enhance access to services and resources to improve educational outcomes for economically disadvantaged children. VISTA will target new project development communities not currently served by other AmeriCorps VISTA or AmeriCorps education-focused projects, and with large concentrations of low-income students. Under Healthy Futures, priority will be given to projects that meet the health needs of economically disadvantaged individuals. To meet these needs, projects should either focus on providing access to health care, which includes connecting individuals to education, treatment, and recovery services. Attention should also be placed on access to healthy food. VISTA opioid programming focuses on addressing the opioid crisis in the United States by placing VISTA members with organizations that are creating or expanding opioid prevention and recovery projects targeting low-income communities. In fiscal year 2020, we continue to look for new project opportunities, specifically in geographic areas not currently served by other VISTA, other CNCS opioid-focused projects. The VISTA program is also prioritizing new programming for veterans and military families that fall under the umbrellas of economic opportunity, education, and healthy futures. Again, I'd like to remind all of you that as our country is dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, we are receptive to the fact some projects are developing projects and activities related to assisting communities recover from the pandemic. In these instances, VISTA members may conduct a limited amount of direct service, and this would need to be approved by CNCS staff. VISTA always seeks to have a balanced portfolio of urban and rural programming. However, we understand that it's difficult to get VISTA projects and members in the rural communities. More than 35% of those living in rural communities live in high poverty areas, and 85% of persistent poverty counties are in rural America. To combat that poverty, VISTA will continue to invest resources to create economic opportunity in rural areas and is interested specifically in projects with that focus area or geographic area. Native Americans have the highest poverty rates in the country, and reservations are some of the poorest locations in the United States. Potential VISTA sponsors can be tribal nations, tribal nonprofit organizations, or nonprofit organizations that are proposing projects specifically targeting Indian country. Outreach to tribal colleges encouraged when planning your project. Potential nonprofit sponsors should ensure that their proposed project has the support and input of the local tribal government. Excuse me. Additionally, priority will be given to projects that serve areas of concentrated poverty. This is defined as the census tracts or counties with poverty rates of at least or above 20%. These can be rural or urban areas, and the projects can be located in or serve the high poverty areas. Special consideration should be given to persistent poverty areas, which are those that have had a poverty level of 20% or higher for 30 years or more, and you can find that information on the census website. The VISTA program has developed guidance and resource documents to help applicants navigate the concept paper process and submission. These documents can be found on the National Service website, and you'll see them on the screen here, as well as the link. There are 2 steps to the VISTA program application process. First, the interested organization submits a concept paper, as I discussed before. CNCS will review the concept paper to get a better understanding of your proposed project and determine if the activities in the organization are in alignment with our programming priorities. The concept paper submission for the first quarter of this fiscal year was October 1st. I'll review the timeline moving forward in a few minutes. If CNCS accepts the concept paper, the organization is invited to submit a full application. CNCS field staff are available to provide technical assistance and guidance during the writing of both the concept paper and the full application, which is different from our competitive programs elsewhere in the corporation. So, what does eGrants look like, and what are the basics that you need to know in order to submit a concept paper? If you haven't already, you will need to create an eGrants account in order to submit your concept paper. To move through the process, you'll need your EIN number, your employee ID number, and the organization's contact information. Please review the concept paper instructions for step-by-step guidance. Once you create an account and log into eGrants, you'll go to the lower left side of the screen and click on concept paper, which is indicated on screen with an arrow. In the next window, you would click on the FY 2020 AmeriCorps VISTA State New NOFA and click Next. In the next screen, you'll include the applicant information, excuse me, which includes person's name, an authorized representative populated from your organization information. In addition, at the bottom of the screen, you'll begin inputting project information. In order to do that, you'll create new project. Even if you've had an AmeriCorps VISTA project before, you will need to create a new project to continue. The project information you'll need to include are a project title, the state, address, phone, and email. Please use the state of your organization. And for the project title, you can simply repeat your organization's name. Do not use time information like years or dates. You'll be asked to anticipate the length of the project period. Most projects typically last between 3 and 5 years. After you've included the basic information about the project, you'll select the focus areas and objectives that correspond with your proposed project. You also select the target population. Please do not select all of the focus areas and populations, but because the concept paper will be returned for modification, selecting all does not increase your chances. Please be specific. You also include the geographic areas that will be affected by your project. This should only include the cities, towns, and states and not additional narrative information. If you are a former CNCS grantee, there are also a few additional questions that you'll need to answer. The next section of the concept paper asks you to complete the 4 narrative questions. These questions allow you to thoroughly explain your proposed project and the community and beneficiaries that it'll benefit. In the needs section, you'll explain the unmet poverty related community needs that your project proposes to address, and it's helpful to include data and citations when available. Under strengthening communities, you should describe how your proposed project aims to complement or expand your current programming activities taking place in the community in order to address the identified need. In the organizational capabilities section, you should detail your organization's capacity to manage a federal national service program and VISTA members. It's important to clearly articulate the proposed VISTA members' responsibilities in this section. And lastly, organizations that are interested in becoming intermediaries will answer the intermediary justification question. Otherwise, you can just put not applicable. Please do not copy and paste the question into the response box. You should write your responses in WordPad in order to avoid extra characters from appearing in your submission. If you do use Microsoft Word, please be sure to check your responses for characters such as upside down question marks. This will also allow you to conduct spell check on your work. The green check marks in eGrants means that you've answered and submitted the response to that question. If the arrow icon is red, it means that the question has not yet been answered and submitted. Now that we have reviewed the eGrant system and the required fields to be completed when submitting a concept paper, let's take a look at the characteristics of a strong concept paper. You'll see on screen that you're coming to the end of developing concept paper and you'll need to review the information that you provided. If there are any errors, they'll be indicated in a pop-up window similar to the one that is on the screen. The next step is the authorization, assurances, and certifications. If you agree, you'll indicate it by selecting the radio button. And lastly, you'll select Submit Concept Paper to the state office. And here we go with the characteristics. First and foremost, concept paper submitted must adhere to the Domestic Volunteer Service Act. Your proposed project must align with our priorities and principles to address poverty in a specific community and empower community members to participate in project development, implementation, and evaluation. It is not simply about expanding the capacity of your organization itself. Strong concept papers will also identify how the VISTA service will lead to increased capacity and sustainability of the project and the community members, generate public or private sector resources, and promote local volunteer service. Please be sure to review the annual VISTA program guidance in the concept paper notice and instructions on the nationalservice.gov website before you begin writing. These two documents provide a comprehensive overview of what CNCS is looking for when reviewing the concept paper submission and what we want in new projects. Here are some tips through years of reviewing concept paper applications. First, be sure that the name you include in eGrants is your organization's legal name. If you are a tax-exempt organization, you must use the tax-exempt organization search to see how your legal name appears in their system. When asked to include the areas affected by your project, again, please only list city, counties, or states and not other extraneous information or narrative text. Be specific when selecting your project's focus area and target population. Selecting all of the possible response options does not strengthen your concept paper. Poverty alleviation and capacity building must always be the project focus. And again, it is poverty alleviation within a community and not capacity building of just your organization itself. Paint a clear picture of your project. This means including local and national data, the number of vistas that you are requesting, and a description of what they will be doing throughout the life of the project, remembering that projects last generally from 3 to 5 years. Remember, a VISTA can never supplant any staff or volunteers. This means that they should not replace existing staff or those that your agency is unable to hire at this time. The VISTA's main goal is not just to build capacity, but to work themselves out of their service activity. And when the project ends, that the project continues. And it's good to know that you can always reach out to your local CNCS field office for technical assistance at any point when writing your concept paper or application. Again, this is different from our competitive programs. We're here to support you throughout the project application life cycle. Right now, we're in cycle 3 of the request for concept papers process. The upcoming concept papers are due on June 1st, and once you've submitted the concept paper, field staff will acknowledge receipt within 2 weeks via email. CNCS staff will conduct the review and notify you of their decision by July 29th. That decision may include sending it back for rework or moving forward to the application process or a rejection. If approved, the applicant will be invited to submit the full project application. Please remember to continue using the VISTA guidance, the application instructions, and the request for concept paper notice to help with the remaining of the process. If we accept your concept paper, the 4 narrative responses you included in the concept paper will be automatically transferred to your full application. You'll go into eGrants to submit the full application after completing additional narratives, a budget, and performance measures. The application awarded date is a target for the majority of projects in order to ensure that new project supervisors have time to participate in supervised orientation that we provide and recruit potential AmeriCorps VISTA members for the next major recruitment cycle in the fall. We have a number of resources and tools to help your organization get more acquainted with VISTA and to decide whether or not you would like to apply for VISTA resources, as well as reviewing nationalservice.gov in case another program would make more sense for you. One of the most important things you'll need to know is how to contact the local CNCS field staff. You can follow the link listed on the slide and find the email, or you can simply type the 2-letter state abbreviation followed by @cns.gov. Field staff are available to answer questions and to provide technical assistance in your time zone. We have also included the link to the RFCP notice and the concept paper instructions. Both provide information on the program itself, as well as guidance on what to include in the concept paper. For those that are interested in applying specifically during this time, including those who've heard that VISTA members are teleserving full-time, which is an extraordinary circumstance as a result of the pandemic. We've provided a link here to the CNCS's website on the coronavirus. Sponsors applying in this next phase should be prepared to onboard, support, and manage VISTA members remotely as the country continues to work in creative ways and maintain social distancing. As an agency, we're taking special considerations into account and have developed a frequently asked questions document as guidance for our current sponsors and potential sponsors. This document is continuously being uploaded and can be found at the link shown on the screen. We have come to the conclusion of our webinar, and we thank you for listening. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and please be safe.